Hey, beautiful friend. Welcome back to Mommas Who Lead, the podcast for purpose-driven women who know they're called to more. I'm your host, Laura Caroffino, and today is Easter Sunday. And now, before you start thinking, I don't really have time to listen to a podcast today, I promise you this one is short, soulful, and just for you. So, because while today, the world is busy hunting eggs, glazing hams, spending time with family, I wanted to talk about something very, very important, and that's the empty tomb and what that actually means for your life. So take a deep breath, grab your coffee, your journal, or just let these words wash over you today as you cook, clean, or whatever you're doing today. So let's talk about this empty tomb. This morning I was reading Matthew 28, and that is the story of Mary Magdalene and Mary go to the tomb. They're grieving, brokenhearted. They're expecting to find death, but instead they find an empty tomb. And the angel says to them, "He is not here. He is risen." I paused while I was reading that, because how many of us show up to situations expecting disappointment, expecting the worst, because that's what they did. They expected to find Jesus dead, still there, but he wasn't, right? And we show up to our businesses, our relationships, our dreams, bracing ourselves for this major heartbreak, right? But what if the stone's already been rolled away? What if what you thought was dead was actually just waiting for you to see the miracle? Easter isn't just a holiday. It's a reminder that things can feel buried, right? Your dreams, confidence, even that fierce version of you before the babies, before all the moves, before you started questioning your own light. But in Christ, nothing stays buried, right? Not your calling, not your passion, not your purpose. Because when you have a calling, God's going to make sure you listen, right? So maybe you've been feeling dry in your faith, burnt out in your business, numb in your relationships. Today, I just want to speak resurrection power over you, over your mindset, over your leadership, over your life. Because the same power that raised Jesus from the dead, it's in you too. So friend, here, there is resurrected purpose inside of you. Even if it's been dormant, believe me, I know, I've been there. Even if it feels like it may be too late, even if you're still waiting for that feeling for everything feels right and ready to go, there's never a right time. But I want to remind you that Easter says, watch what I can do in 3 days. So just imagine what God could do in 3 weeks, 3 months, or even 3 minutes of surrendered faith. And you were never meant to stay in darkness. You were created to rise, to shine, to lead. Even if your leadership doesn't look like stages and spotlights. Maybe it's quiet obedience. Maybe it's showing up when things are really, really hard. And life is hard for everyone. And maybe it's just deciding you're ready to try again. I've been in that season. So this Easter, I want you to ask yourself, what tomb am I still sitting in that God already rolled the stone away from? Maybe it's fear, maybe it's shame, maybe it's that nagging voice that tells you you're too old, you're too behind, you're not qualified. Believe me, I've heard those voices too. But I want to remind you, the grave has no power over you. So today, I want you to rise, even if it's one step at a time. If this episode has stirred something in you, will you do me a favor? Screenshot the episode, share it to your Instagram stories, tag me at Laura Caroffino, and tell me one thing you're walking out of and one thing you're walking into this Easter. And if you're feeling called to rise in a new season, in your faith, in your business, your leadership, you already know where to find me, and I would love to work with you. Go ahead and click in the show notes to apply to work directly with me, because the tomb is already empty, but your life, your calling, your impact, it's about to be overflowing. So happy Easter, friend, and keep leading, keep growing, and keep believing in what is possible.